Hey guys, this is Troglodyne here for a Sunday stream. We had been talking about a few things. I had just finished recently reading a book, Matt Manero's You Need More Money, as I'm often want to read self-improvement, that sort of type of books, always just looking for ways to get better.
Yeah, very
One of the
important for an
things,
entrepreneur.
right, one of the things that it did touch on though, me being still in the corporate space with my brother mostly doing the entrepreneurial kind of side of things, is about core values and also about another topic that we've touched on here a few times where a company is playing house. A lot of times it looks like, unfortunately, companies both of us have worked at before
Multiple
have been
times.
playing house in more ways than we've described before, and this time particularly as it regards mind share of the employees regarding the crucial missions that the company is trying to execute upon. And what is our guidepost for these missions? Both a mission statement and core values. Core values, of course, being actually the more essential part of this equation. And many people have, in the corporate management space, have harped on the value of this and that sort of thing, and as does Matt Manero in his book. Although he's mostly saying that you need this for practical reasons. You don't need this for, like, say, as an employee, you don't necessarily have to think about this so much as to formulating it, that sort of thing, but more as this is why they're actually doing it perspective.
What you want the employees to do is internalize these things. These have to be little subroutines running in the back of their heads every time that they make a decision, because every firm is going to be just a million little decisions made by the small worker ants, and not just the managerial class at the top. And I think that that's sort of how we get to this playing house situation where you have one word non sequitur core values like respect and integrity, which is like, what does that mean? That's not self-evident. This is not practical.
Who am I respecting?
Yeah,
right.
and
am I respecting the customer? Am I respecting some employee? Who am I respecting?
Yeah, am I respecting Nazis?
Well, it's one of those. No. Yeah. Well, who am I respecting? Does everyone deserve respect?
Exactly.
That's going to bring up questions in your employees whenever you have something like that.
And so then you're going to get the sort of situation where you have unnecessary conflict. You're going to have people get forced out because of these sorts of things with regard to the interpretations of what those vague goals are. And it's just not going to help your firm at all. And it's not going to help you as an employee either.
Right, or as an employer, because in general, that's going to lead to people working at cross purposes with the lack of guidance and the confusion that it causes.
Yeah.
What would be instead a better approach to use is something practical and something that ideally someone with some knowledge technical writing can read over for you and make sure that whatever you're trying to convey gets that mind share instantly. It clicks whenever somebody reads the phrase of what this core value is.
Yeah, it has to be basically a sentence, something that's easily a tweet, what I mean?
Right. Like one of Monero's examples for a company that he founded was maintain our reputation.
Yeah.
That's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, you don't need to think about that twice, and it's simple enough that it can be that subroutine in the back of your head that's running every time you make a little decision. Is this going to sabotage our reputation with our customers and the world at large? That's not a hard one to actually think about every time you make a decision.
Right, and especially when a lot of businesses rely specifically on their reputation, whether it be the reputation of their professional services they offer, of the software that they have for offer, or the goods that they have on offer. Reputation in that space can mean the quality of our goods. Does it break all the time? Do they think it's some sort of cheap Chinese knockoff, or do they have the reputation of made in America and it never breaks? Well, that reputation's gone down over the years, but you get where I'm going.
And that's where I've seen a lot of QA departments go wrong, is that they see quality as the goal in and of itself, rather than, no, you don't understand. Quality is only in service of not sabotaging your reputation as a firm.
Well, that's part of it.
Well, it's not only that, but it's also of, are we delivering to customers what they want, right? Because quality assurance is the only way you can actually determine whether you're going to be able to actually meet those sorts of needs. Yeah. It's not because I want a quality product. That is meaningless.
Yeah, it's the same thing as saying respect is one of your core values.
Yeah.
Well, respect who? Respect what? Quality of what? What kind of qualities?
Yeah.
If your core values are question begging, you have made the wrong decision as to what one of your core values should be.
Yeah, and that's where another great book that we've talked about before on the podcast, Command Culture, is very clear about this. You know, the effective organization of the Prussian army, which really punched above its own weight for multiple decades. Uh, it, it did not focus so much on the structure of things, but it did focus on the substance of what are the mission orders. Okay,
Right.
We need concrete, specific objectives for everyone in the field to know and understand, so that nobody works at cross purposes and everybody is moving in the same direction.
Right. It's more about the spirit of the law or the spirit of the endeavor of why you're doing this than the form.
Yeah,
The
and
form matters, but
that's what I hate when I see a lot
only
of
whenever the
these.
spirit inhabits it.
Yeah, well, that's what I hate when I see a lot of these mission statements, is that they are very well presented, and they're doing that sort of, I have the form done correctly, but I don't have any of the substance, because it's one of those things that it's like you can ape the form fairly straightforwardly, even as a very unintelligent person who's not a thinker, but it takes actual thinking to fill it with real life.
Well, right. And the other example of that that's in most software organizations being dysfunctional is Scrum. You can get all the forms of Scrum and Agile, but if you miss the spirit, you're going to be completely dysfunctional.
Yeah, in fact, it's worse than just sticking with waterfall.
Yeah.
Because at least people get how that is. It's a
Right.
straightforward process.
It would be like taking the leap from procedural imperative programming to functional mathematical based programming, but you don't know math.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not going to work out for you, or callback based programming when you're not in async world in your head at all.
Yeah, or callback based programming when you're in a single thread.
Yeah,
Yeah, that really makes a lot of sense.
exactly. And that's essentially, it's funny how it is sort of as above, so below. Waterfall was very common in programming organizations when everything was single threaded. It literally, the process was dictating the output.
Right.
And it's Scrum was trying to get away from that so that we could do this more asynchronous sort of thing. And people are unaware how deeply these sorts of structures change your output in ways that are really fundamental and that you don't even understand, because, like I said, it's a subroutine running in the back of your head.
Right, and it's one of those places where many of the aesthetic philosophies actually do get things bang on about the form of things mattering, but it's only insofar that there is ritual attached to it, because the ritual is what provides the spirit and instills that meaning to the employee, to the customer, to that sort of thing. That whole aesthetic is what brings the mood. It's what brings people to the yard with their milkshake or whatever.
Yeah, and we've actually touched on this in previous videos with regard to rituals are important for your product. They're also important for your core values.
Right. Because ultimately the statement of core values is a ritual in and of itself, especially if you're trying to hammer home to your employees what context should it be used in? Where should it be used? Why should it be used? Should I have it in a sticky note right next to my monitor to think about whenever I'm making a decision? Oh, hey, I have a core value of we're going to continually increase revenues.
Yeah.
If that's one of your core values, which it probably should be, then they're going to view that decision of, okay, I have something to do today, or I don't have anything to do today. I'm trying to think of something new to do for the company. Well, let's think of this. Will it make the company more money, or will it just be a waste of time?
Yeah.
It gives me something to think about.
And that brings us to one of the other core values Manero talked about with his company, which was I can't remember this. He had 4 of them, right?
Right. There were 4 of them. One of them was mostly about are the employees, is it a happy place?
Is it about, are they committed to the cause? Okay.
Yeah.
Do they believe in the mission? Okay. Are they enthusiastically here to do something other than pick up a paycheck?
Yeah. The point was that everyone was there because they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And at a lot of firms, that's definitely not the case. They are there just picking up a paycheck. They are just putting in the bare minimum. That is not the kind of employees that you want. Those are, in fact, the employees that you should be firing.
Yeah. And when I've been involved in hiring processes, that's one thing that I've noticed a lack of. Number one was the employer themselves trying to evaluate the candidate. they were not evaluating it based on the rubric of their core values. How does this person fit into those mission objectives? Because if they're too vague, it's just not going to be a meaningful rubric.
Right.
But if they're actually concrete, that is exactly what the entire interview should be about: is establishing is this person compatible with our objectives here.
Right, because generally whenever you're hiring somebody, the ideal candidate is always someone who is a good deal price-wise, who is a go-getter, who is going to improve because they have the drive to improve, because they want to. They're the type that will talk to their manager and be like, hey, I'm out of this sort of thing. I need something else to do. Is there something you need done?
Yeah.
Or that they are on the line, they're in the thing, they see something that's a problem, and they just take care of it.
Yeah.
That sort of guy or gal is the person you want at your firm.
And on the other side of things, as an employee who wants to really do well and make a lot of money and provide a lot of value for your employer, when you're interviewing with these people, you probably should ask about their core values so that you can know ahead of time whether they're this sort of vague playing house, because the fact is those firms will underperform. You can't help it, because they're just not thinking hard enough about how do we keep people all moving in the same direction so that we can be productive.
Because it's about the mission.
Yeah. And if it's not about the mission, you're going to spend half your time dealing with roadblocks put up by other people who don't understand the mission or don't even care about the mission, right?
Or more importantly, have hijacked the vaguely defined mission that your company had and replaced it with their own version of the mission, with their own actual mission.
Yeah, which in practice ends up being a big principal agent problem, and essentially just them self-aggrandizing themselves or perpetuating the organization, neither of which really serves a purpose. And it's
most certainly
very
does not
demoralizing as a
serve
worker.
the customer.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion here today. We'll be back with some more videos on TCMS soon, and have a good one.